My husband's ex decided to wear her never-worn wedding dress meant for marrying him. She's now crashing her own marriage. Growing up, I always wanted a big princess wedding. The theme for our wedding was ballroom, and I told everyone to wear the nicest things they owned and told the women in particular to try to outshine me. I even went as far as telling the married women to wear their wedding dresses. I didn't care about being outdressed. Instead, all I wanted was to fulfill the aesthetic in my head that I had for the wedding, which included everyone else looking nothing less than extravagant. My husband has this friend I'll call Kate. Kate is my husband's childhood friend and first love. In their senior year of high school, Kate and my husband got engaged, but called off the wedding and never went through with it. The calling off the wedding was the end of the relationship, but they stayed friends. I've never had a problem with Kate being my husband's ex, but I have had a problem with Kate as a person, as she's kind of bitchy and gossips like she's still in high school. A few examples of this are just a month into our relationship. She confessed to my husband. She still had some lingering feelings, to which he responded. They had already tried that, and it didn't work. If she brought it up again, he would to cut her off out of respect for me. However, after she was turned down, her attitude towards me changed to fake nice, and started calling me things like cougar, or asking me how I expected to make a relationship work, as I want to be an anesthesiologist, which would require long hours, or telling my husband's whole friend group how she doesn't like my loud personality, and when I confronted her about all of those things, she would say, oh, it was just a joke, or you're so loud I felt like you would just go off. Kate has her own husband I'll call Gerald. Kate and Gerald both make average in terms of finances, as they are both teachers. On a teacher's salary, Kate wasn't able to afford the most luxurious wedding dress out there, but I always had the impression she was happy with it. Kate does have another wedding dress from when she was going to marry my husband that her dad paid for, which in terms of fanciness is a bit nicer, but obviously she didn't wear that dress to her own wedding. I was expecting Kate to wear the wedding dress she wore to her own wedding to our wedding, but when I looked and saw her, she had the wedding dress she was supposed to wear when she was getting married to my husband. When I saw her, I immediately went WTF, but decided to just drop it because I didn't want a conflict on our wedding day. My husband, however, was also confused on why she wore that one, and asked her about it without me even having to tell him I was uncomfortable. She responded, well, your wife wanted such a big princess wedding, I thought I'd wear this one because it follows the theme more. Don't tell me she's upset about it. She's the one who said, come in, your nicest clothes, and this is my nicest dress. Update. I talked to my husband about it this morning, and when I brought it up, he immediately let out a sigh of relief. He said, I didn't know how to bring it up because you didn't seem bothered, but when I saw her in that dress, I thought it was very weird she wore that one. He went on to say that he even considered asking her to leave because he thought it was rude, but because I had no reaction to the dress, he thought I either didn't care or didn't recognize it, but either way, if I wasn't bothered, he didn't want to disturb my peace of mind by kicking her out. We discussed, and he's going to have a talk with her, not just about the dress, but her treatment of me in general, and explain that going forward, she will not be a friend in our lives. After this talk, I've decided to let it go and focus on my new marriage. This was a small thing, and now, after I've talked it out with my husband, I feel kind of silly I let it bother me this much. I'm at peace she will no longer be in our lives, and that's enough for me. Someone said you gave her the chance to wear the dress her dad got her and gave her a gift. Update 2. When my husband talked to Kate, she reacted as expected and started calling me a jealous and controlling wife to anyone who would listen. We didn't let her bother us though. Neither I nor my husband knew this, but apparently her and Gerald have been struggling for quite some time and have been going to couples therapy. When my husband cut her off, Gerald sat down and asked him if he really thought that Kate wore that dress out of spite, and my husband answered truthfully and said yes. We thought Gerald asked because he thought we were being ridiculous, but I guess he was wondering the same himself because he brought up the whole wedding dress thing up in their therapy. In their most recent session, they had it being said that Kate finally admitted that she's always thought of my husband as the one who got away, and that she wore the dress out of spite and not just because it was her fanciest or because of sentimental value. Gerald then asked her if she would go back to my husband if he decided to divorce me. She said no, but apparently she hesitated, and Gerald knew she was lying. What I do know for sure is that Gerald is filing for divorce.